Good evening, guys, and welcome back. We have a fucking win. We are all happy. There's already plenty of videos out of us all being happy. I am joined by the wonderful Martin Riley tonight, and we're obviously going to give you even more happy. Player ratings that perhaps may split opinion, but at the same time, not in a negative way. Most of it is going to be generally quite positive, I think. How are you feeling today, Martin? That table looks a hell of a lot fucking healthier than it did 48 hours ago.
Definitely. It's a massive sigh of relief to put that gap between us and the bottom three now. It's a good, healthy gap we've put between us, especially to Burnley. I know Burnley have games in hand, but I can't see them winning. They were dreadful yesterday. Yeah. I know we were good, but they were dreadful. So yeah, I'm very happy today. Very, very.
And with regard to performance, I mean, that again, as usual, there is split opinion on different views on it. But do you think that was a performance, a 90-minute performance of us actually hammering home some sort of not domination, but pecking order? Like we showed that we are 8 points above these people.
Yeah, we definitely showed that we were better on the day than Burnley were. Burnley were, of course. Burnley did make things easy for us. They gave away a lot of sloppy balls. As they say, it's because of our high press, but a lot of the errors that were forced weren't really forced. They weren't under massive amounts of pressure, like like Harrison's goal. I know Harrison was coming towards him, but it was still just a poor attempt at a pass, rather than it being entirely forced. But yeah, they made things difficult for themselves rather than making things difficult for us, which is what they did in the game earlier in the season. They didn't press as well as normal. That could be down to their match sharpness, and I think they've barely played, so that is quite possible. But yeah, overall, I felt that it was
tiredness as well. Don't forget, obviously, they played on the Thursday night against Scum. Yeah. And we hadn't played. We were technically fresh. Genuinely speaking, though, like I'm not sure. I've left thinking, we absolutely dominated the game. We hammered them, but I mean, I know they equalised, and it's always uncomfortable when they equalise. And for a couple of minutes, I felt like, oh shit, the Brentford thing's happening again. And if they would have got a second one, I would have been shitting myself even more. But as soon as I saw Joffy warming up, I kind of snapped out of that and thought, we are going to go on to win this quite comfortably. And when you look at, I know the XG I know it's different on different sites and stuff, but the general XG is like 1.6 to us, 1 or around 1 for them. Yeah. To be honest, I'm surprised it's that close. Or at least highlights and match of the day and stuff. It looks so much more skewed in our favour in that we had so many chances, and theirs, I don't. Obviously, the Meslier has to make a good save.
That was the. I think that was actually the highest XG chance of the game.
Probably,
that was so. That's why they got 1 XG, because Wood's chance was a pretty good chance. I think someone rated it 0.5 or 0.6, and the big chance is 0.3. So it's a pretty big chance. For context, a penalty is around 0.7 XG. So apparently it was quite a big chance. Meslier did do very well with that, but we'll get on to who did well and whatnot. But the XG made it look a lot closer than what it actually was. We were all over them most of the time.
So the general breakdown of the game, I know you're obviously, you probably watched the game if you're watching us now, and you probably have your own opinion and want to share them on who played well and who didn't. But we took the lead very deservingly, and perhaps by half-time could have been more than a goal or two ahead. They brought on Maxwell Cornet at half-time, which kind of gave them the only threat that they probably had all game. I don't really think... Obviously, Chris Wood had a couple of chances. One that obviously he's twatted straight at Meslier from point-blank range, which you've just spoken about. Another one that marginally over the bar into the south stand. But other than that, I don't really remember them troubling us, testing us in any real way. And then obviously... just a free kick is, if you want to be hypercritical, maybe you can say Meslier could do better. But again, hypercritical.
That would be a
free kick. And then instead of doing a Leeds, like Chris would normally be going, I'm fuming, like we deserve to be 5-0 in front here and it's 1-1. But thankfully, we didn't do that thing of just like the Brentford thing and succumbing to 2 quick goals and then we have to battle back and get a point. We actually put our foot down, stamped our authority on the game, and went on to win it comfortably. And it could have been more than 3, let's be honest.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, there were other chances, which we'll get onto during the game, where we could have, and there's also other times where we wasn't able to get a shot off, but we had good possession and good areas, but maybe made the wrong decision in certain parts, which didn't lead to us having good chances, but just having a pot shot rather than creating a better chance. But overall, I'm pleased with the performance. If it was a better opposition we were facing, it may be indifferent, but
it's huge for the confidence anyway.
Yeah, of course it is. The big gap that was opened up, and we saw at full time what it meant, especially Bielsa. The big embrace with one of his staff members. That was just, you could see how much that was a relief to him, and how much to a point that he obviously considers relegation to be a possibility with that reaction against a team who are just below us in the league. Yeah. So it was massive, definitely massive for confidence and for the rest of the season going forward.
Yeah. So I just want to clarify, because it's been asked a couple of times in the comments already tonight. He's actually in my basement. I am currently dismembering him. But you know, if I ever do let him free, I will be sure to release him and let you all know he's safe. He does say hello though. There's a load of stuff to cover, but we will start on Illan Meslier in goal. For me, quiet night. So I'd be surprised to see you go much higher than a 7. And to be honest, I haven't gone 7.
I've gone 7, mainly because he did save the highest chance, the best chance of the game. It wasn't an easy. I know he was hit straight at him, but he was hit at him quite quickly, and he got down quite well. So I think, but the goal, the corner free kick, that it's hard to judge whether it was his fault or not. I think the fault mainly will lie in how he set up his wall. Yeah, because I think he was expecting the shot to go above the wall, but it kind of curved around the wall. That's why Tyler was trying to head to the side to try to get to it. So it looked like he was ducking, which annoyed me greatly during the watching, because like, it didn't duck, he went sideways. But yeah, I think I've given him a 7. It would have been lower if not for that good save.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest, I've gone 6, and that is including the good save. I thought, first of all, let's be honest, like, there's only one real chance of the game that he has to stop from going in, and that's the free kick, other than the one we've already mentioned. And then, for me, obviously it's a quiet game, so I don't see how he really warrants a 7 anyway. But there was a couple of moments for me where I was a bit like, I'm not too happy with so there's one distinct moment, I think it's in the second half, where it goes up to collect a ball, spills it, then spills the next one, and kind of puts us in a little bit of...
I think I know the bit you're talking about on the rewatch. I think he
it a couple of times.
I think he tried to punch it the first time.
Yeah,
and it didn't go as far as he wanted it to, and then it was put back into the mixture, and then he punched it out again. So yeah, I can see that moment that you're talking about.
And then I'm going to do a U as well. So I'm saving some of my statistical stuff for later, and only because we've disagreed on stats on certain players. But Meslier pass completion yesterday was the lowest of any of our players, and I know the argument can be made like, yeah, he's a goalkeeper, he's not actually like integral in the way we pass anyway. But when you look at his pass completion compared to every other player on the pitch, he's actually only Chris Wood has a lower pass completion out of everyone on the entire pitch.
Where are you finding that from? Because FBref does not
I'm on
say the same
now. So you've got Leeds United goalkeeper stats. So his pass completion was 38.5.
That's the goal kick stats. The actual pass stats are inside the normal passing stats, and he had 76.5 from open play. It was
right. Don't undermine me here. Either way,
you tried to play the stats game and you're just failing here, Phil. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to own this one as you.
He was also lower. He was also lower than Hennessy, and Hennessy dog shit. So either way,
launches. It's not the same as passes.
But no, like generally speaking, like the distribution side, I I don't think so. One of the other parts I was looking at when it came to his distribution was the average length. Like, we don't normally associate longer passes. It's normally like along the floor, but the average length is like 33, calling it 35 yards. And that pass that's become sort of synonymous with him this season is the dinked ball out to Stuart Dallas, which obviously led to the Chelsea goal. And I'm not sure that one at the moment is working. Ethan here, I agree with the sentence, not the number. But I love that. Yes, Chris. By the looks of it, we're somewhere between 6s and 8s. So if everyone's sort of happy to settle on a 7, I must admit I think lower, but 7 will do, and we'll move on to the back 3. Remind me, it was Luke Ayling on the right of that back 3, then Koch, then Llorente. So we'll go in that order, yeah?
That's right.
Luke Ayling.
Yeah, I felt he had a good game. He didn't have any major mistakes. He was very good and tidy with his passing. He broke up attacks quite well on occasion. He did pretty well in the air as well, and he had to deal with quite a lot of aerial balls because that's the way Burnley play. But yeah, I felt he had a good game. He had some good notable stats. He had the most passes completed for us with 42 passes. And the only thing that did let him down was his long passing. He attempted 18 long passes and only completed 8 of them. But with the height that Burnley have got, they're always going to do better with those long sort of passes. So I think that should come into play a little bit more. But he did well. I've given him a 7.
Yeah. And then one thing that sort of stands out to me on the watch in general, I would always say with Luke Ayling, you can tell when he's having a good game or not by how he carries the ball out. And there was literally only Rafinha and 𝐾𝐿 that carried the ball more than Luke Ayling. So that says a lot. I thought at times this season we have been critical of the way he's played, but for me that was a much better and improved, back to the best Luke Ayling I've seen in a while. I don't know. I feel like I'm disagreeing with what I've written down now. I'm going to go 7. So I'd got 6 written down, but I also had 6 written down for Meslier, and I didn't have much bad to say about Meslier either. But yeah, I'm going 7 for Luke Ayling, which means I'm going to have to bump up a couple of other ones here. Yeah, Simon, if you just joined us, Chris has confirmed he is locked away until we reach 25,000 in subs. So get your mates to subscribe to the channel, and maybe we'll let him go. If not, we will be feeding him to our dogs. And that is 100% true. He is genuinely off the map. He's not been into work for months. Robin Koch. Some people, I mean, Oscar in particular, actually, in the group chat yesterday, felt that Robin Koch wasn't really handling Chris Wood that well. I didn't think he struggled with him, to be honest. What did you think?
I agree. I felt he handled Wood well for the majority of it. Because Wood is a very, very big handful in the air. He's a very capable aerial player, and Burnley did get in quite a lot of crosses to him. And there was only really that one big chance that he had, and that one came a bit lower than he was expecting, I think. And it was a good delivery by Charlie Taylor as well. I thought stats wise, he didn't really show up as good as some of the other defensive players, but he did still have 1 tackle and one interception, as well as 8 clearances. I would imagine most of those will be headed clearances. Yeah, and
he did seem to be like Championship Pontus Jansson, like just fucking everything's going out for a throw-in. And like, obviously, like it'd be nice to see him twat one up the line and it end up being an accidental assist and we get a goal. But I kind of liked the fact that every ball that came into the box, Koch is fucking booting it out the stadium. I like that.
Yeah, he was being a bit more old-fashioned than what we're used to under Bielsa, which I think
it's not the Llorente way, is it?
No, it's not. And it was a good thing to see from Koch, and I do like him. He's a good player, and I felt he's had some bad luck with injuries, and it's very good to see him playing and getting some good relationships built up with the players. He was staying more reserved at times.
At CDM as well.
exactly. I think we will end up seeing him more at CDM, depending on how the season goes. But we'll see how that goes. But that's for a later discussion.
What number did you go?
I went a 7 for 𝐘𝐲. Again, nothing major came out, no major problems. Wood only had one chance, so I didn't want to give him an 8 because I've saved the 8 and higher for other players.
You've gone higher than an 8 for somebody?
Not much higher than an 8.
Oh, you've gone 8.5. Nice. Like it. So I've gone 7.5. I must admit I had it written down lower, but because I've bumped Ayling up to a 7, I have to have 𝐘𝐲 up to a 7.5. But for me, 𝐘𝐲 was the best of the defensive. I mean, 5 if you want to. Well, actually, never mind. The back 3, he was the best of the back 3 by quite a bit, to be fair. Not in the sense of like Ayling carrying the ball out and stuff, but generally speaking, in being a defender and just fuck off danger. You're not coming near me. Fuck off. Just keeping it. It was such a calm game in that I don't feel like I said, there was the free kick and maybe that one Chris Wood chance, but I never felt like we were under the cosh. And there's been so many games this season where we have snuck a win or we've won games quite clearly, but even there's always been periods where we've been under the cosh somewhere, and I just don't feel that happened yesterday. And I never thought Robin 𝐘𝐲 would be the calming presence that does that. But we'll move on to Diego Llorente, and this will be interesting to. I think this is one that will split opinion because for a long period in the game, like I think I've said it to you a million times before, but during the game I take off a half mark when something goes wrong, and I give them a half mark when something goes right. And for a long time in this game, Diego Llorente was the one I had at the lowest or quite often. It ended up getting bumped up a lot towards the end because things were solid after they scored. We basically didn't look at like we were going to be threatened again at all. But it's the passing, it's the tackling, it's. I know you disagree with the yellow card and the free kick. I do think it was a yellow card. I do think it was a free kick. But for me, nothing is just plain and simple. Like the Robin 𝐘𝐲 thing of just fucking get rid of it. Llorente's like, right, I'll take a touch on my chest, try a Cruyff turn, and just everything's just absolutely fucking mental all the time. And when it goes well, it can look fantastic, but when it doesn't go, I can't stand the man. When it goes well, it looks brilliant, and when it doesn't go well, it just looks a bit nuts. That is bollocks, by the way, Gail. I do like Diego Llorente. I actually like all of our players, but I just find
there's a difference between not liking them and saying that they've had a bad game. It's clear the strengths that Diego's got. I think yesterday his strengths couldn't shine because I believe he was a free man for periods of the game. I think it changed up here and there, but stats wise, there's not a right lot to say. The only thing I can say is that his passing was more neat and tidy than normal. It was the second highest pass completion at 76.5. Only one player had that, and Meslier had the same for that, and 𝐾𝐿 just below that. So I think he kept things simple in this game compared to normal. But I still don't think he had a good game because there wasn't really anything to say in particular. He did some good headed clearances at times, but some of them didn't really go very far when he cleared them. I think he had like a habit of heading it with the top of his head rather than the front. So it just meant it went straight back up into the air, which didn't really clear the danger. So I
don't associate Diego Llorente with clearing danger.
No, but he did do it a couple of times.
Make it worse.
Mainly because obviously Burnley put a lot of long balls through and a lot of crosses in, so he had to deal with a fair bit. Not as much as what 𝐘𝐲 and Ayling had to, but he did do some. But he just got a 6.5 from me. Nothing, just average. Nothing too bad, nothing too great. Just meh. Really.
I'm not too far off you, to be honest. I wasn't terribly harsh on anyone. I don't think you can be in this game with what 3-1. I went to 6. There was times, like I said, where it was lower, but the lowest of the back 3 for me, but still if 6 is average, it was an average performance from Llorente. He's done absolutely fine. Like, but we have seen a lot better from him.
Definitely.
And we know in there is the capability to be on his day a ridiculously good defender. Like the level between when I know harking back to Pontus Jansson, but when Pontus Jansson was in his prime at Leeds United, to me he looked like a level above all the rest of the defenders in the Championship. And there has been times in a Leeds shirt where I've looked at Llorente and thought, you have that about you. Like when it all looks like it's working, because it's so off the cuff and because it's so not the norm, the way he carries himself, and nothing looks. If you've been to Ellen Road and you've seen him in the flesh, like the first time I saw him in the flesh was Blackburn in pre-season, and everything he did looked like Bambi on ice, but it worked. and it all looks just completely accidental, but brilliant at the same time. So I'd like to see that Diego Llorente back, but I don't think we have seen that Diego Llorente in a month or so. But that back three performance as a whole yesterday, I think, was probably the best back three performance we've had in a while. I know Chris was saying at the start of the game when the formation became evident to him, he was like, "Fucking hate it when we play three at the back," and most people kind of do. But I thought the back three as a whole were quite. If you had to give a number for the back three as a whole yesterday, what would you give it?
Probably a 7. I felt that they managed most of the threat that came into them. Obviously, Burnley are quite simple in their tactics. Get the ball up the field, cross it to the big man in general. And they've got some variation in that now. They've got a different type of forward in 𝐘𝐎𝐒. He's one who I did actually pick out in the opposition report before the game that he can hit a shot from distance, and we have to watch out for that. And that's ends up being the only goal they scored. So yeah. Other than that, they had a good game. No open play goals conceded. Yeah. So that is in itself is a good thing. Yeah. I know Burnley generally do threaten more from set pieces, but
but we didn't. Well,
no.
Yeah, it's a direct shot, but we didn't let them like aerially like.
Yeah. There wasn't anything from crosses, should I say? Then those are the ones that are more dangerous to us.
Yeah. So the three in front of them. We'll start on the right. We'll go Dallas. What did you think of Stuart Dallas? I know stats wise there are good and bad. Like there's the fact that obviously he's got the goal. I think in terms of running numbers, I haven't seen them, but I imagine they're quite high. Then you've got I know you like to go for pass completion. Out of the people that started, he was the lowest for us, but he also had the most expected assists. So he actually kind of created the most threat for us in terms of what his passing gave us.
Yeah, he did. He had a mixed bag of things, did Dallas. He did some good things and some bad things. Most notably, he was bad defensively. He was dribbled past 5 times, and that
could have been sent off for the lunge on Charlie Taylor. You know, if he connects.
Yeah, that was
a bit naughty.
It could have been worse than where it was. But yeah, he was. So I feel that the goal rescued his game. Because that's one thing that we know he can do. He can hit a shot, and he hasn't been able to do it as much this season because he has been played at fullback a lot. So he hasn't had the chance to get forward and hit those shots off as normal. So he got the opportunity and he took it, and it put us ahead in the game. So that bumps up his rating by a full mark for me. It would have been a 6. He's got a 7 because of the goal. So.
Right. I'm glad Chris has put that because I was really confused because there was such a variety in like it goes from like 6 all the way up to 8.5. So I was like, "Fuck, where do I land?"
There's all sorts there, isn't there?
So we have got somewhere between a 6 and an 8, which means it's really easy for us to sort of just sit on the fence and go 7. I did have 7.5 written down. I actually had him as one of 2 for man of the match for me. I actually thought he was fantastic. In what Chris was saying in his comment about just the running, he does seem to be everywhere all the time. I kind of thought that third man run and the combination between him and Ayling looked back to a level that we are used to, because for most of this season it's been at a level for both of them where it's not been good enough, and we got what we wanted yesterday. They were both brilliant, and obviously when they both played to that extent, you can see why we get results like we did.
Yeah, they've got a very good relationship, and when they are playing well, they do very well together. Yeah, no doubt.
And they've been together in the squad for God knows how many years, a good 4, 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. Somewhere between, I know I've given you 4 numbers there, but they've been together for quite a few years, so they will know each other's game quite well.
Definitely.
Yeah, I thought the two of them linked up really well and were a massive part in the result. Are we going in the middle or are we going straight over to the left? What do you want to do? We go Forshaw or Firpo?
We'll go Forshaw first. Keep it going from right to left, yeah. Forshaw, he had a great game, really good game. He was just everywhere. Just that one turn, which you'll probably know the turn that I'm talking about, it's where he gets the ball, takes a perfect first touch. He's got 2 players bearing down on him, and he just pivots away, turns around, and then just has him looking daft. I think one of them falls over while he's trying to chase him. The press resistance of that man is just helps so much, and that is one thing that he has over Kalvin Phillips. Defensively, Kalvin is better.
No, I'm not disagreeing. It's just a big shout.
Yeah, but for me, that's one thing that I think it could be injury related, but so far this season, Kalvin hasn't been as mobile as what he has been, and when he's trying to turn away from danger, he has sometimes lost the ball, whereas Forshaw in general makes the right decision and can turn quickly and just get away from that danger without looking under pressure at all. So yeah, he was just the perfect link between defence and midfield. He just played very well. He got on. Yeah, my man of the match is tied between 3 players. I said 2 before when I was talking to you, but Forshaw is also in there for me. But 8 I've given for Forshaw. He was just had a great game. I've been really enjoying his performances.
So I'm keeping that comment on for 2 seconds just because I've gone the same number as you, Johnny. I've gone 7 as well. I don't think 7 is harsh because I've got nothing bad to say about Adam Forshaw. I don't think he was. I've seen a couple of 9s in there. I don't think it was a 9 out of 10. He didn't do anything that stands out as being overly memorable, other than just sort of, for me, the first half, he was nothing special, but that second half performance in particular, the one moment that I'll remember from that game, it just fucking rises up for a header. I can't remember who he beats for this header. It might have been Cornet. Just fucking flat packs this man while getting to a header that he's got no right to get to.
I think I remember the one that you mean, because he's not a tall guy in Forshaw.
No, he's shorter than me, mate, and I'm a midget, but he's flown about fucking Cristiano levels of height to just absolutely blast through the back of someone. And I think it might have been Lowton. Someone's got up and they've looked at the ref like, it's not a free kick, no. And Forshaw's just like, nah.
He was proper giving it to Burnley early in the first half as well. He had a few
tackles.
There was a couple which were, careful Forshaw, if that connects, that could have been a red. But as Leeds fans, we always enjoy it when a player is full-blooded in the challenges, and that is something that you can say about Forshaw. He is tenacious. Is tenacious. Yeah. He's always very quick in enacting the press as well, which is what I like most about him. Is that as soon as we lose the ball, he's straight away right. Who's my closest player? There he is. In a similar way to what Kalvin does. He's always quick to get back into the defensive mindset when we lose the ball, and when we are on the ball, he's just links up
on
everything.
The ball. He's just different gravy at the minute. Since he's come back this season, I mean, you could say the same before he got injured, but doing it in the Premier League to this level, like I'm not going to compare him to Zinedine Zidane. But you know, when Zidane used to just have the ball, you're like, yeah, no one's taking that off him. I know we're not talking about the same kind of level, but with Adam Forshaw, I just never feel like he's going to lose the ball. There was one pass actually in the first half. This is where my ratings differed: first half and second half. He passed the ball out of play for a throw-in in the first half.
I remember that one.
And I was thinking, who's broke him? And then second half, he was back to normal and everything was fine. So I've gone 7, but like I said with Johnny's comment, like I don't think it's harsh at all. I think 7's a good number. It's above average. It's a solid performance. I could raise it to a 7.5 if I really wanted to, but I'm happy with it as it is. So we're going to move on to who I think was man of the match at left wing back. Best performance in a Leeds shirt by some distance. And he has been improving in recent weeks, generally anyway. But yesterday, could have got a goal, probably deserved a goal. And when we were talking about Llorente, we spoke about the relationship between Dallas and 𝐘𝐒 and the way they both come out of yesterday's result with I think they both got a 7 or a 7.5 between them. Llorente's mark for me got boosted up again because he was playing next to someone who had a fucking ridiculous game yesterday. I would normally absolutely wet myself a few weeks ago at seeing Firpo and 9.5 next to each other, but genuinely speaking, I do think that's a bit excessive, but generally speaking, he's very much deserving of 8 easily. It was a ridiculous performance yesterday. I'm sure you've got stats for days on him, but pass completion, not just top, but like 85.7. The one after
quite
that,
a bit higher,
6.5. Like
exactly.
He's absolutely, and it's not like he attempted more passes than the two below him.
Yeah, he did.
Generally speaking, everything carries. Like he created chances. He could have scored. Like bombing on, coming back. I mean, the thing that people have said about him and the 𝐼𝐈𝐓𝐇 thing is, well, they were both all right going forward, but they're both shit in defence. Well, yesterday wasn't shit in defence.
No, definitely not. He had definitely his best game in a Leeds shirt since he's come in. I think I've said that one time previously a few games ago, but this was even better than that. He was the player that we'd expect. If we was to buy a left back from Barcelona, that was the type of performance you'd expect from a Barcelona left back. He was so assured in possession. He made the Burnley players look stupid when they was trying to pressure him. I realise that they aren't the most challenging of players to send for a hot dog, but he did do it. He did do it on multiple occasions, and quite a few times you saw him popping up on the right wing, overlapping Rafinha. It's like what? It was just mad. I loved it. I loved this performance. Obviously, I will go into the stats. I did tweet them out earlier if you want to see the full stats. But the few which caught my eye most was he had the most progressive passes and the most tackles, with 6 tackles, which is considerably more than anybody else. He was putting a lot of effort in out of possession, as well as the effort that he was doing in possession. It was a great performance. Loved him.
Think Johnny's got a bit of a thing.
I wouldn't blame him.
Right.
I wouldn't blame him.
What do you think of that comment? What's your take on that?
Well, you already know my opinion on how Jack played, which is what we're going to differ.
Do you think the sentence is Firpo was an 8 because he had an on-fire Jackie in front of him?
No, I wouldn't agree with that side of it. Jackie did have a good game, but I think it's down to the relationship that they're building on the left wing. They did really understand each other's movements, and that helped out a lot in the first half. And it did help us control possession, especially on the left-hand side, because that has been a bit of a weaker side for us this season as a left side. But now that he's starting to get to grips with the way we play and the way his teammates move, he's really kicked on. And
I will disagree. I will agree with that bit. We'll come on to the bits that I don't agree on, but I do agree that there seemed to be an understanding between them of where one was going to go and where the other one was going to aim it, etc. But we'll come on to the rest shortly. So what number did you go Firpo in the end?
It was an 8.5.
8.5. So yeah, I'm going to go 8. Was he your man of the match, or did you end up giving it Forshaw?
No, there's one other guy who I think is in running for, but I won't say who's man of the match yet.
Is it a substitute?
No, it is not a substitute.
Oh, you're saving it for that one, are you? You are, aren't you, you little devil? So, on the right of the next 3, is that where we're going? We're going Rafinha next.
Yeah, we can go Rafinha.
So, one thing I wanted to flag up, because I know no one really gives a shit, but BBC obviously do like a fan-led poll, and you get to vote for what your ratings of the players were. And top of that poll was Stuart Dallas. Then the substitutes, Gelhardt and James, did well. But out of all the people that started, Rafinha came second. And I just don't get that. Like Junior Firpo, for example, who we've just given man of the match, only Tyler and 𝐾𝐿 came lower than Junior Firpo, so I'm a bit lost by it. But Rafinha,
I'm confused by that.
As a general rule, came like just under 7.5. I'll be intrigued to see if anybody in these comments gives Rafinha a 7.5, because Chris has gone 6. Gail's gone 6. I don't. You don't look like a man that's about to give him any more than a 7. I'm certainly not giving him more than a 7. Yeah, and one sentence I said to you before we came live: if Tyler Roberts shot from 40 yards and missed, could you imagine?
Like, as well as in the same game missing from an open goal, 5 yards out. So those two things combined.
What stats have you got on Rafinha yesterday? I can't imagine there's many good ones.
There's a couple of good things. He had 4 shot creating actions, second most progressive carries with 8, and the joint most dribbles completed with 3. But the dribbles, he only completed 42% of his dribbles. So he attempted 8 and only won 3 of them.
Was he up against Charlie Taylor?
Yeah. So he didn't
do bad against him then.
No, Charles. But I think also with it, Burnley were focusing a lot on Rafinha, so I think that that they were doubling up on him quite a bit, which meant it was difficult for him. But that happens every game, and we didn't see the level of performance from Rafinha which we'd want to see. He made a lot of bad decisions in the final third. He was shooting a few times when he shouldn't have been shooting, and then when he did shoot and when he should be shooting, he didn't put it in. So that if that would have went in, that would have rescued his performance. That is normally a lot of what goes into Rafinha, is if he creates that special moment where he does something magical and gives us a goal or an assist, then that is what generally makes a difference between a good Rafinha performance and a bad Rafinha performance. Because a lot of things I'm saying today about him only having 42% dribble success, that's true most games. He attempts a lot of things which are special and doesn't always complete them, but he can win games for us by himself. So he can have those sort of games for us every now and again. And as long as he's performing the rest of the time, it's no big deal. If he drops another 6 next time, then we'll see. And that is by the way my rating. He got 6.
I'm exactly the same. I bet Rafinha even now is still trying to work out how the fuck he's missed. I mean, don't get me wrong. I probably missed from there. I definitely would. Rafinha, even on his weak foot, I bet he's thinking, "How have I missed that?" We won't. We're not exactly going to go fully in on our top scorer by some distance this season. And yes, this exactly. Congratulations on getting engaged. Leave her alone now and get back to the football. In the middle, then, 𝐾𝐲, one that seems to have really divided opinion. I fall somewhere in the middle. I know you think he had a really good game yesterday, but a lot of people think he didn't have a good game. Tell me your reasons why you did think he had a good game, and we'll sort of go from there.
Well, but when 𝐾𝐲 is out having a good game, we have a good game. Especially when he's playing in the position that he was playing in. He does a good job of linking the midfield to the attack. He combines a lot with different players around him. He understands the build-up in wide areas better than most of our central midfielders. He had a great game. And if we move on to the stats behind that performance, he created the most shot creating actions with 11, and the most chances created that we've had in the past 3 seasons with 7. And on top of that, 2 goal creating actions, one with the assist and one for the little build up before James's goal, and that gets him a shot creating action as well. And he had the second most progressive passes, and I just felt he had a great game. I clipped up some of the things that he did earlier on the Leeds TV Twitter, so give that a look if you want to. He was the other guy who was in the running for man of the match.
You've given him it?
No, I haven't. No, I'm telling you now, I've given it to Firpo, but he was only just behind Firpo with an 8. So Firpo's my man of the match with 8.5, and 𝐾𝐲 with an 8.
Yeah. See, for me, Scott, I'm not picking on you, but it's more of a picking on Martin. So, why have you bumped it up a full point? Because he got an assist. Rafinha takes a short corner. 𝐾𝐲 just basically passes the ball 3 yards into someone that's open. Like, I can do that. Is that a full mark based on a full 90-minute performance. Like, and I'm going to say the same on Jack Harrison in a minute. Like, I literally work for a company called Stats. I love Stats. I base my whole thing on Stats, but for me, Stats don't fully defeat what the eye sees. And I must admit, I originally gave him a 6. I am going to bump up my rating to a 7 based on some of the things that me and you have spoken about, the stats that are behind it. He clearly had a better game than I saw with my own eyes at the time, but I still don't feel as though, because stats can be skewed. Like, for example, when we get onto Jack Harrison, there's loads of good things, but at the same time, pass completion 4, and at the same time, aerials, like nothing to do with anything. But he's the only person on the pitch that won none. Like, stats do they give us a basic idea of what happened, but it can't always be. So, for example, if we complete loads of tackles, well, we only complete loads of tackles because we didn't have the fucking ball. Like, you can say yesterday, Burnley, certain player, I haven't looked into the Burnley stats, I don't care, but no. someone can say, like, 𝐾𝐎𝐒, I'm just making it up, could have had 10 tackles. Well, you need to not have the ball to be able to make those tackles. So by having the ball, that's what I mean about statistics and using them to sort of force an argument one way or the other. I do understand and respect the statistics that have gone into the 𝐾𝐻 performance and the progressive passes and the chances created. That'll be the thing that people will say, well, what end product does he give us? Well, clearly he did give us some sort of end product yesterday, which is why I have given him a 7. But in the gaps in the middle, and for me, I know the numbers don't seem to reflect what I felt I saw. I'll be honest. I thought passing yesterday, I didn't think his passing was great. For me, it got. There was a few times where I was frustrated watching that build up that kept seeming to happen down the left hand side. There was Firpo, Harrison, and 𝐾𝐿, and the three of them were constantly passing to each other and building up on that side of the pitch, and it was going so well until that final pass seemed to just break down. And the second half, that sort of changed with the changes that were made, and we'll go on to the sort of tactical decisions that Bielsa made, which I think were fantastic yesterday. But for me, the bit that fell apart, Firpo was excellent in general, and I thought his passing was excellent, but Harrison and 𝐾𝐿 were where it fell apart. I know people will say different things, and I know people will disagree. And I'm not for a second saying Martin is simply stating facts. He is right, but at the same time, there's more. There's one way of looking at things, and there's another way of looking at things. I wasn't overly impressed with him. What's the thing with Harrison? Like, for me, the goal bumps him up slightly, but I'll have it. Honestly, I had him at times at a 5, and I know a lot of people are about to go, Phil, Jack Harrison wasn't a 5 yesterday, and I didn't end up giving him a 5. I'm just saying, like I said, I put 0.5 on when something goes well, and I take 0.5 off when they do something bad. And there was times yesterday where Harrison, until he scored, he was driving me nuts. It just didn't seem to be working for him. The stuff that Firpo was doing behind him and the relationship, they seemed to know where each other was going. But that pass, Firpo would give him it, and then Harrison is then meant to play the ball inside to 𝐾𝐻, and then Firpo continues his run, the same as Stuart Dallas does the third man run on the other side. It just didn't seem to, with those two, Harrison and 𝐾𝐿. Firpo was doing everything right, and I didn't feel like they were doing it with him properly. The passes weren't being completed for me. And Jack Harrison, we always talk about that first touch. There was sloppy touches, and the only time I saw Jack Harrison do a Jack Harrison thing for me was the goal. He pressed like Jack Harrison does. He won the ball back in a dangerous area. He carried the ball. He ran at 𝐾𝐿𝐒. Good little shot. Save is semi-decent, but then obviously the rebound is a good finish on his weaker foot. But for me, Bielsa took him off. What was it, like 60 minutes?
Yeah,
he doesn't tend to take people off if they're fit, if they're not injured. He took Roberts off because Roberts was injured, and Joffrey came on. But he took for me, he took Jack Harrison off because I don't think he thought that side was working. And Dan James came on and changed the game for me. I would say the conversation that started with 𝐾𝐿 about why do we bump up ratings because they've got a goal or an assist when they haven't actually played that well, for me, is more relevant to Harrison than it is to 𝐾𝐿 for me, because I can see what 𝐾𝐿 did well in the stats otherwise. But Harrison, for me, didn't have a good game. I've still give him a 6, even though he scored. And I think you're going to go, whoa. But tell me what I'm missing on Jack Harrison yesterday, because I still can't see it.
Well, the first half especially, he was doing a lot of good things. He was taking on his man, which is not something that we've seen a lot from Harrison this year, and that is something which I liked yesterday, was him taking on his man. He completed the same amount of take-ons as Rafinha did, but he attempted nowhere near as many. He had a 70% completion for the...
But Rafinha had a bad game.
Yeah, but Rafinha attempted more than twice as many take-ons as Harrison, but only completed the same amount. And he was only
the same amount, and Rafinha's had a bad game. Why hasn't Harrison?
I know there's more. He played 60 minutes.
Yeah,
he played 60 minutes, and he had the same amount of take-ons as Rafinha, who is our Brazilian flair master, who also scored. Harrison. Yeah, so if you've given Rafinha a 6, if you're giving Rafinha a 6, and you're giving Harrison a 6. But you said both of them had bad games. But where does the goal come into it then?
I've said the goal for me is the only thing I think he did right. If you want me to bump him up 0.5,
no, I don't want you to bump him up. I'm just trying to understand the difference, because you said that both of them had bad games, but Harrison scored the opening goal, and stats wise, he had pretty much the same as what Rafinha had, and he played 2/3 of the game time. So he did as much as Rafinha did in 2/3 of the time, as well as scoring the goal. Yeah, and he created that goal all by himself as well. He won the ball, took it on.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with that. I completely agree. In the action for the goal itself, not just the kicking the ball and it going in the net. I mean, from the second that 𝐘𝐿𝐒 gets the ball, the way he presses him, he chases him down, he cuts off the angle, the passing lane, he gets the interception, he recovers the ball, he runs directly at 𝐘𝐿𝐒, who randomly just backs off and backs off and backs off. And I think that's hilarious. But he keeps backing off and then allows him to go on his left foot, even though he's left-footed. And then the shot is on target. It's a good shot. And then it comes straight back to him. He hits it on his weaker foot and it goes in. But that 30-second clip aside, I don't know what he did good all game. I genuinely don't. And I feel like Bielsa kind of agreed with me in him taking him off. I'm just intrigued. What number did you go for Harrison?
7 for me.
7. Well, we're not that far apart. I mean, I know no one's going to get absolutely hammered here because, end of the day, we've won 3-1. And I'm not meaning to be critical of Harrison, 𝐾𝐿, Rafinha, any of them. I'm very happy with the performance. We're here to obviously rate the performances. And even though it doesn't seem like there's that big of a difference between, most people are either the same as either one of us or somewhere in the middle, 6, 6.5 or 7. So it's not like anyone thought he was man of the match material, but all right, average-ish. Maybe the goal does just skew people one way or the other. I'm not sure. Another one that will always divide opinion. I'm glad Chris has already said he's not going any lower than a 6 for anyone, because that means he can't go any lower than a 6 for Tyler Roberts. I'm sure he might be tempted to go now because I've called him. But what did you give Tyler Roberts?
He got a 6.5 for me. That was more because of the chance that he missed. I felt that was a decent chance of the header, and we know that Tyler isn't a good header of the ball. And I think even Bamford may have struggled with that chance, to be honest. But still, he should have at least got it on target, I feel. And he did some good things in possession. He linked up well. He was dropping deep quite a lot in the first half, which really helps at times. And on rewatching the game, I spotted some things which I'd missed out. He had a nice little touch for Firpo to get when Firpo had his shot, which he put over. But I felt like he had a decent game. He had some good stats to back it up. I'm not even going to go into the stats really, because most people won't care about the stats that I would bring up. But yeah, 6.5 for me. If he would have done better with his chances, then it would have been a 7.
This is incredibly harsh, but yeah. Anyway, Chris has absolutely nailed what I was about to say. My mother-in-law turned up somewhere in between the last 10 minutes and half time, and the first thing she saw was Tyler face that ball wide, and she was like, "Is Tyler just being Tyler again?" And I was like, "No, honestly, he's actually been really good in everything else, in like being in the right place, dropping deep, linking play. His passing's been okay." And then there was another one where we broke away, and I think it's Click plays it into Tyler, and he could, if the pass is better from Click, it's not all Tyler, but Tyler just slips and face plants, and my mother-in-law just sat there like, "Are you sure he's playing well?" I'm like, "Look, that's just unlucky." But
a lot of players were slipping on that surface yesterday. It wasn't just
it's very much reminiscent.
I saw it happen to Ayling, it happened to Dallas, it happened to quite a few of them. It was a poor surface to play on. It was hard to keep grips of it. But yeah, Tyler didn't have as good a game as we have seen recently. He should have done better with his chances, but
it was exactly as Chris said, like everything bar shooting or getting a shot on target, he was absolutely fine. It was just that last, if there was, the shot creating action thing, if he could have got an assist or a pre-assist, he would have fucked that pass up. If he would have had a clear sight on goal, he'd fuck the shot up. But everything else wasn't just good, it was brilliant. It's just the main part that just wasn't working for him. And I felt for him. And obviously, like, as the guy said, in coming off, he allowed us to change the game. But I've given him a 6. And again, not a harsh 6. I do see a lot of good things that he's done. And I'll be intrigued to see what the update is on that injury and how long he's out.
Well, he is banned for 1 game as well.
Yeah.
So that does help,
I
actually.
agree with that yellow card, by the way.
No, I don't. He won the ball cleanly. He cleanly won that ball. It's definitely not a yellow card for me. Yeah, he went into the tackle overzealous, but he got a clear foot on the ball.
I don't even think it's overzealous, mate. Genuinely don't.
Well, I think it's because he was definitely a little overzealous on the rewatch.
Wasn't it like first couple of minutes as well? That
it was about it was inside the first 10 minutes. Yeah, it was quite early on the game. I think he had misplaced the ball himself, so I think that's why he was a bit overzealous to get the ball back. But he still did win the tackle. Clearly wins the ball, and he just the way he follows through, he stands on the player's foot, and that happens all the time. I mean, it happens not long ago with 𝐾𝐉𝐄 against Arsenal, who didn't get anything for it, and that was worse because he didn't even win the ball.
The reason I asked you what time it was is because I was going to do a bit of the comparison with Sadio Mane and the elbow against Chelsea, but that is literally the first 10 seconds. But yeah, it is one of them where
it was 10 minutes on the dot. I've just looked.
Yeah, I actually thought that's his first one, surely, of the game. I don't honestly think he clearly gets the ball, follows through slightly, but it's not like it's a follow through like the Liam Cooper one last season where he got sent off against City. Like, it's not a violent one. He can't put his foot anywhere else. Where the fuck else is he meant to land?
Well, yeah, he's won the ball as his foot's going through the ball. It lands on the player's foot. But that ref wasn't great yesterday.
No. We will move on to the substitutions. And before we give ratings to the substitutions, I actually want to give a bit of a rating for Marcelo Bielsa himself. We've had so many times this season where it's been painful, and me and you as two people that often get asked to drag their head out of Bielsa's arse. We're both fanatical about him. We love the man. We obsess over him, and we struggle sometimes to find flaws when there is obvious flaws, and we just don't want to admit them. Bielsa, for me, I know one of the changes was enforced in that Tyler was injured, and maybe he wouldn't have brought Joffrey on at that exact moment, but Joffrey coming on, like I said, I can't even remember anymore if I said it live or before we went live. When that free kick goes in, I dreaded that it was going to be the same as Bournemouth again, and we were going to concede 2 in quick succession and have to fight for a point. But as soon as I saw Joffrey get up, and I wasn't at the game, but from what I hear from people that were in the stadium felt it too, that as soon as he got up, we knew we were winning that game, and it wasn't even going to be 2-1. It was always going to be 3-4, whatever. We were going to dominate the rest of the game. And then the same with Dan James. Like I said, I thought that Jack Harrison wasn't working. And I said to you and Scott and Mike on the big match preview about getting someone to run down that left-hand side, do the Man City thing, get to the byline and pull back, or low-driven crosses across the face of goal. There's no point whipping a ball in and aiming for Tyler Roberts' head against Burnley. We're not going to win aerial duels in the box. It's just not going to happen. I mean, I know we'll talk about Dan James, obviously does, but for me, even though a goal never came specifically from Dan James running down that left and cutting one back, I thought he injected so much. And it changed the game. It wasn't just little pot shots and Rafinha twatting one from 40 yards and Tyler facing a ball out of play or hitting one straight at Wayne Hennessy. The chances that were created by Joffy and Dan James coming on really gave us so much impetus and genuinely made us look like, yeah, we could have these now. We could really turn these over. And I've seen that as well, which we'll get on to talk about when we touch on the two as individuals. But for me, and yeah, I don't know which way to take that comment, but for me, Bielsa yesterday, the two changes, he's made so many changes this season that I have struggled to accept and explain, and they've caught me off guard and just been like, why? But those two were perfect players, perfect time, and he didn't overcomplicate it by bringing on a third either. And I just thought in the Tottenham game, for example, where we scored first, we've dominated them in the first half, and then for me in the second half, Conte's done a job on us by letting us have their first half, and then they go and smash us in the second. For me, and I know it's, I'm not meaning to be as insulting as I'm about to sound. I know it's only Sean Dyche. I know it's only Burnley, but he's done a job massively for me, Bielsa, yesterday. And if I could give man of the match to Marcelo Bielsa, he can have it. I love him.
No, I agree. The subs were well made, but I will play devil's advocate and say, was there any other subs he could have made? Jan James was our only true first-team player, and Joffy was the only one who's kind of a mix between. Sorry, I had to just wind you there.
I know, but he's had so much over that run, especially Man City 7-0, and just generally some of the results this season and the substitutions and people questioning him and the small squad. People even started to go to Victor Orta. Like, he's had so much stick when it's been warranted, let's be honest. People are so quick to give it, and I just want to make sure, look, he doesn't listen to All Leeds TV. I know he doesn't. But Marcelo, if you do listen ever, just remember that I love you. I don't care if I sound like I love you. I kiss your ass. It's fine, mate. So, yeah, we want to sing his praises when he deserves it. We'll go on to Joffy first then, because obviously he came on for Tyler as a result of an injury. But as Chris and a few others have pointed out, there's the Joe Donahue stat that's been going around today about the most goal contributions per 90 for anyone that's played more than 100 minutes under the age of 20.
And it also included penalties won, which was a very...
it's a very niche stat.
It is a very niche stat, but I do like niche stats. So
yeah, we do.
I'll take it. He's definitely one of the most prized assets in our youth team at the moment, even though if not, I say he's passed beyond the on the 23s team now. He is a first team player now, not a first team starter when everyone's fit, but he's definitely a player we can look to regularly off the bench to make a difference, and that's what he did. The ball that he delivered for James was perfect. You couldn't have put it in a better place. I will give credit to James as well. He did well in that, because he's never normally going to win something in the air like that.
Like a salmon.
But he moved really quickly I know it's against.
Well, it is Dan James.
Was it Ben Mee? Who was
I thought it was the right back that he outjumped in the end.
Was it Loughton? It might have been Loughton then. But if it was, that's fine. But yeah, he didn't really outjump him. It's just because he sort of moved ahead of him, and Loughton tried to kick the ball. Right, because it was too low for him because of the way James moved. So it was good movement by James. So I'll give him that. He was a great finish. And Hennessy maybe got a little bit unlucky because he got a good hand to it, and it just crept in. But still, great goal. I loved it, and Joffrey did well to do that. I saw before that assist, he hadn't done a massive amount. He did run at them a couple of times, which did look dangerous,
but lost it.
Yeah, he lost the ball a few times from running with it, but he's
direct.
Exactly. He's trying to make things happen, which is what we want to see from young players. And
what did you give him numbers wise?
He's got a 7 from me.
7. No, that's fair enough. I know
it was only on for half an hour, and it was a great assist. But I feel bad to just bump him up higher than that, since he was only on the pitch for a short amount of time. But yes. 7 for me. He did well in the time that he was on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I agree. I've gone same number for both of them. Obviously, we'll get on to Dan James separately in a second. But like weirdly enough, like that comment read earlier about giving a 7 and it sounding harsh, or giving a 6 and it sounding harsh. I'm giving 7s here, and really everything I'm about to say about the two players suggests that I should be giving them 8s and 9s and 10s, but I've given them a 7 because they were only on the pitch for a certain amount of time. They've got involved and got goals and assists, etc. No, for me, 𝐘𝐎𝐔𝐑 it is the direct running, and as an option off the bench, I can kind of see why Tyler Roberts and Matthias 𝐾𝐿, to touch on a point that was made earlier in the comments, I can see why they start games instead of being brought off the bench in respect to the Joffrey thing. We've seen Joffrey start games like Fulham in the Cup and being effective, but when he's come off the bench, like Wolves, for example, unbelievable cameo from Power, and the same yesterday.
I think that's what it is with him, especially against teams like Burnley, who are quite physical sides. Yeah. He's not going to be able to do well with them in a physical battle from the start. So it's better to bring him on when they are a bit tired. He's still developing as a player, so he will get that more. I know he's compared to some young players, he is pretty strong, but still compared to Burnley's big Brexit lads, he's not at that level. But he's a phenomenal talent and very happy with his performance. Yeah,
no, for me, I mean, both of them for me. In terms of the hierarchy and the pecking order and stuff, I genuinely believe if I was Marcelo Bielsa, I would have the likes of Joffrey and Dan James above 𝐾𝐿 and Roberts in what if I was picking the team and I was starting who I'd want to start, I'd start them ahead of Tyler and ahead of 𝐾𝐿. But in kind of the way that the impact the two of them as a pair, not individually, as a pair made yesterday when they came off the bench, they are game changers in that using them as substitutes rather than starting them actually might have more of an impact. And I like that. So obviously we've both gone 7 on Joffrey. We'll quickly round off with Dan James. I've already said I've given him a 7 as well, but there's so much I could say about him. And similar to 𝐘𝐿, they are both so direct. They just run at you, and they will. We know one of our weaknesses as Leeds United is someone running directly at us through the middle. But Jesus Christ, they were just a pain in the arse to defend again. The pair of them. We saw how much Rafinha struggled against Charlie Taylor on the left, and obviously we spoke about the doubling up. But Dan James just seemed to absolutely molest Loughton time and time again.
Yeah, he did. But what I'll say about the difference between James and Joffrey, they run at plays differently. James isn't as talented with getting by a man when he's directly faced with him, but it's obviously it's he uses his pace, and that is why he brought on James for Harrison, in my opinion. James does better when the ball is played over, and they were leaving a lot of space on the side where he came on. And that is why he used James, because Harrison doesn't do those sort of runs often. Harrison prefers the ball to his feet, and interplay more than pace. He's not a slow player, isn't Harrison? But compared to James, he is, and I think that's
most of us are slow compared to Dan James. To be fair.
Well, yeah, exactly. James is a lightning fast player, and he made the most use of that pace. I think it also helped that he was being played in a more natural position. He has been playing up front a lot, and that is not the position that he knows best. He's been getting better there. I will say that, but he's still better when he's on the left or on the right.
Yeah.
Yesterday, especially on the left, he did well. So some of the crosses that he was putting in were great. He could have had an assist if Rafinha had his shooting boots on, and it's just a shame that he didn't, because of what it would have been a much higher rating. But I'm still not giving him a low rating. He's getting a 7.5 from me, slightly higher than Joffy, because I felt like he had more impact on the game than what Joffy did. They were both on the pitch for a similar amount of time, and I think James had more of an impact. He could have had more. He could have had an assist as well as his goal, and the fact that he outjumped someone who he doesn't have any right to outjump. And I love his passion. You see it on display all the time. He seems to really love it at the moment, getting regular game time, playing in this side, especially when his celebration was great. Great, I really loved it.
Yeah, the celebration was lovely.
Yeah.
Same with Joffrey, to be fair. I know Tash likes in the fan cam Joffrey's reaction to the goals as well. The one thing we must obviously say, the Matt Lowton getting hit with a bottle incident, we absolutely do not condone that sort of behaviour at all. No, we don't. And we will not be giving a 10 out of 10 for the throw. It wasn't accurate. It
didn't hit the player it meant to hit.
Yes. So that was very, very, very bad. Obviously, we're all very happy. We've got 3 points. That table looks so much healthier now. I'd like to think we've still got Norwich to play again. We've still got Newcastle very soon to play again. A point against West Ham, maybe even 3. I think it's a stretch because they're a very good team. But is it West Ham and Newcastle next? Obviously, I know I'm not talking about the FA Cup, but in the league, West Ham and Newcastle. If we were to get 4 points out of those games, and knowing that we still have to play Norwich at home, you've got to start thinking we can cut away from this bottom 4 and we can make it 4 teams scrapping it out, and we're in such a healthier position than we were before yesterday's game. It's such a massive result, and like you said, you can see the relief that Bielsa had at the end of the game.
Yeah, it meant so much to Bielsa, the 3 points, and it's really going to help us against these next games, because West Ham will be a hard opponent. I'm not expecting a win on that game. I would be happy with a draw.
Absolutely.
We'll be playing twice in London in the space of 5 days. That's
coming home, really, is there?
No, not really. Might as well just find a hotel there and train somewhere around there. Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, I'm not.
Before I let you go, Martin, random question for you. Obviously, the next game is, like you just said, it is West Ham away in the Cup first. I know it's hard enough predicting a Bielsa lineup at the best of times in the league when everyone's fit, but we've got a Cup game. I still think he doesn't give a shit about the Cups, in all honesty. But do you see some of the youngsters playing in the Cup? Do you see what madness do you see happening at West Ham? Because they might rest some players as well. Joffy should start, obviously, with, you assume Tyler's out. Bamford might not be back yet. What do you think we do in the Cup? Do you think we're asked?
I don't think it'll be a massively changed side. I think there might be a couple of changes. Joffy will come in. It'll be a change in formation, so someone else will come in for Llorente somewhere in a different position. We could well see another young player somewhere. I think West Ham are playing a 4-2-3-1, which will mean we'll play something like a 4-1-4-1 or some variation on that. So I'm not sure who we'll see, because Roberts will also be out. So that'll remove one of our options in midfield, which makes it a bit more difficult. So it would be interesting to see what happens, to be honest. There's chance, I'm not even sure which Farah on the 25th fit. I know Cresswell may have had a chance to play, but he's injured. He's got his shoulder injury. Out of the players who are on the bench against Burnley, let's have a look. Clarkson, nope. Lewis Bay, possible. I would love to see it. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think it will happen, but I would love to see how Bate would do in a game. You've got Leo Hjelde. I can't see Hjelde playing. Somerville, outside chance, but I can't see it with us having a few options on the wings. He may decide to rest Rafinha, but I think if he does rest Rafinha, he may put James on the right and Harrison on the left. No, we'll see. We don't know what Bielsa's going to do, and we don't have a big team at our disposal at the moment, so it's going to be very similar with a couple of changes, I think.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time this evening, Martin. Thank you, everyone in the comments, for getting involved with this player ratings. We are all extremely happy with 3 points. Fingers crossed. It's the cup. I don't really give a shit what happens, to be honest. But we've got a January to look forward to in terms of fixtures, and that's got to give us some confidence. So we'll be back for us two personally. We'll be back for a big match preview, I assume, Saturday night before Sunday's game at West Ham. But obviously, we're not the only people on this channel. There's going to be plenty of Scott who couldn't be asked joining us tonight. Mike, obviously, on the TikTok, couldn't be asked joining us tonight, so fuck the pair of you. But keep an eye out for everything that they're putting out. Go have a look at the fan cam if you haven't already. It was a really, really good one, and especially if you take a look at what happened after the game and the atmosphere, looked absolutely incredible. So have a look at that. As Oscar would always say, yes, he is still alive. If you are still watching and still want to know if Oscar is okay, I can assure he is okay, and he hasn't died. Everything is fine. He still loves us all, and he still cares about you all. But he would want you to smash the like. He'd want you to subscribe to the channel so that we can get to 25k and release his body. If you haven't already, go donate if there is a link. There probably isn't even one anymore anyway. So good show. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Phil.
See you all very soon. Thank you, Martin, and good night. Wave for as long as